Well, first things first, you're going to want to remove the old paper from the block. And doing that, I like to use the straight edge X-Acto blade. It's really easy to work with. You can use a razor scraper too if you want to. I just find this easy, and just take your time, just being careful, and you can get through here. You can just feel the glue release right there, and you'll get through it pretty quickly. After you remove the paper, you're probably going to want to clean up the excess glue residue that leaves behind. It's still kind of sticky. You can use a couple of products. Most times just good old Roncinol, on a rag, just a little bit here on there, and you can just go over this and it will get rid of it. Now if you have a lot of it, it's stubborn, you can put that the Roncinol directly on here, let it soak for a little bit, and then use it. Or you can use some stronger stuff like Goo Gone and get rid of the adhesive. Not really a hard thing to do. You just want to get it cleaned up before you put the other paper on, because you want to make it nice and smooth, as level as possible. And now we'll talk about the adhesive paper. It really doesn't matter which one you use. The 3M, the 300 LSE, you can use that, or you can use the 468. Honestly, whatever is on sale. 3M claims that the 468 might be better suited for metal, but I can't, I don't think they could back that up, because they both feel the same to me. But anyway, whatever's on sale is usually what I get. You can get them at 8x8 squares, different sizes, whatever works for you. So just look at the prices online and just pick them accordingly. So the big advantage of using this adhesive paper is, of course, that you could just customize whatever type of paper you're wanting for your sanding. So if you want very fine grit for polishing, you want oxide, whatever you want, you can customize it, to your sanding block. So that's the big advantage. Now I'll just show you how I trim up some and get it installed. So this is pretty easy. You just kind of match your sandpaper to the adhesive paper size that you have. In this case, I'm going to use, just for an example, the 3 2/3 by 9 inch, your rectangular sander. You're very well acquainted with that. That's the size paper we have, and you'll notice that it's a little bit wider here and a little short. We're just going to trim this paper to fit. Okay, now I got it to fit pretty well. You can see there's a little strip down here. If you're wanting to save this for any smaller projects, that's great. I'll show you another use for these little scraps in just a second. But anyway, now that I've got it sized, we can remove one side of the paper. So given the edge right there, just grab a hold, and I usually pull just like that. There we have it, ready for the paper. Okay, we have our paper. Just line it up by sight, and there we have it. It really isn't that critical. See, I was off a little bit, a few thousandths. Not a big deal. Press it down all the way. There we go. Yep, looking good. Now we can trim the outside. What I like to do now is, because we have the bare adhesive paper showing, is just to take the scissors and go right here on the edge, just cutting just a little bit of the sandpaper at the same time, just making sure we have a flush edge. Now I just mark these right around 1 inch intervals. This paper really resists any inks. I just use an ink pen or a pencil, but if I use an ink pen like this, I just press down and it just puts an indentation there, and it's easy enough for me to see. As far as cutting goes, of course, you can use a regular scissors. If you want more precision, or if you've got a lot of pieces to cut, one of these handy paper cutters, you remember these from school, don't you? Anyway, you can get one of these relatively cheap, and that'll get the job done nicely. And the paper is easy to remove. Just the old bend the corner trick usually does it, and then it'll just come right off, and you're ready to put it on your plate. Well, as far as application goes, it just depends on the machine, how you like to do things, the size of the blocks that you have. It is true that you really don't need a full 1 inch or this wide of paper on machines that have the axle centered like this. You could really just get away with about a 1/2 inch strip right there. You don't need a full strip. So if you wanted to, save on sandpaper, if you didn't want to waste it, you could just do that and narrow it up, and you can get more use out of your sheets of sandpaper. Now, with machines such as the Tire Razor Pro and some others I've seen that have an offset system, well, that comes in handy. First of all, you can use the full 1 inch strip. You can sand it, and when this wears away, when that gets worn, then you can flip it around. You can do the other side, and now you're getting a lot of use out of just one little piece of paper. Or I like to do this sometimes, is I'll double up the grits. I'll have a fine and a coarse on one side, so I could do that, then flip it around, really easy, and use the next grit. And I like to do that a lot with the Paul Gage tires. So again, it just depends on the machine, your application, and what you're trying to sand. But anyway, I hope this helps you. This was just about customizing the paper to your machine and for your application. Again, I really appreciate all the feedback and all your comments online. You guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. And of course, it isn't limited to the tire machines. Just like sanding stations like we have here trackside, works just fine. Okay, wait a minute. Remember those little strips I told you to save? Well, here's what I do with them. I use the roofing lead, the flashing, usually 1/16. You can order it online or go to your favorite hardware store. They have them by the rolls. And this is what I use for the lead in the slot cars. It's thin enough for most applications. But I'll save those little strips. I'll put them here because, with lead, a little goes a long way. So save those little strips when you cut them off. They serve a great purpose here.